Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, GamingGang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. This is live show 1351. If you're not overly familiar with the show, it is just us hanging out, having fun, talking about the latest in tabletop role-playing game news. And usually I will tackle a topic related to our hobby. We'll have a discussion about that every once in a while. And most recently, and for the next week, 2 weeks maybe, we're going to be taking first looks at various different releases. That's what we're doing tonight. Then, of course, time to time, we just do an AMA or maybe even a review. But for the most part, it's usually the news and a topic. Just not today. What can I tell you? Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are never going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. So tonight we are going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at GÖRGA from Hollow Press. This is GÖRGA, the Curse of Deth, DETH. And this looks very unusual. This is out of Italy, I believe. In fact, I'm almost positive. The publishers are Italian. So very cool, very cool. So that's what's on the agenda tonight. Of course, this is a live show. So it also means there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo. Mark Hawkswell's with us, as is Keith Ulhu and Troy Cornelson. And I would take a guess. Maybe we might have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D lurking in the shadows as our chat moderator tonight. Very possible. You never know. All right. So, for some reason, my voice is kind of scratchy. Hopefully, that will help with that. It's kind of like, that's weird. My voice was fine all day long, and then all of a sudden it's like, I think it's all right. Should be okay. All right, so we got lots cooking tonight, so let's jump right into the news, because Kenser Company are kickstarting a 25th anniversary edition of the Hackmaster role-playing game. Here's the latest. This is it, the granddaddy of them all. The greatest modern RPG of the whole multiverse, the one that launched the entire old school movement, Hackmaster. I might take issue with that. We'll discuss in just a bit. So if you're tired of a boring life of ham sandwiches and working for the man because the heart of a hero beats in your chest, look no further. This game is for you. Heft your axe. Gird your loins, strap on your pack, ignite that torch, and hit the dungeon. You and your friends will rediscover what made RPGs great as you explore the world of Hackmaster. Far more than any other fantasy RPGs, Hackmaster 25 requires problem solving, creativity, tactical skill, role playing, and hard choices, but especially teamwork. You'll need to answer the most important question early on: who's watching my back? So grab your dice bag, your buddies, your imagination, and especially your attitude, because here comes the original classic, the biggest, the baddest beast on the block, Hackmaster. First released in 2001, Hackmaster won Game of the Year and single-handedly created the old school RPG revival movement. We'll discuss in a moment. However, Kenser Co. wasn't through. With painstakingly honed mechanisms and strategy of Hackmaster, it continually improves and gameplay gets streamlined to make it something truly unique in the world of RPGs. A perfect blend of old school feel with modern mechanics, offering fast tactical play combined with the most immersive role-playing experience. Now, 25 years later, Kenser Co. is taking Hackmaster to the next level. This 25th anniversary edition, Hackmaster XXV, get it, 25, features 4 autographed, tooled Basilisk and Gorgon leather hardcover books, each full color and pushing or at 400 pages, complete with gold foil and bookmark ribbons. These gorgeous tomes exceed the so-called special edition premium $100+ books from lesser games. This Kickstarter blew past its funding goal in 4 minutes. Of course, its funding goal was $10,000. You can reserve copies of all 4 hardcovers with PDFs for a $280 pledge. If you want to score just the PDFs, you can do so for a $180 pledge through September 10th. Expected fulfillment is August 2027 for the hard copies, May of next year for the PDFs. So there you have it. And last I looked, this was at about $160,000, $170,000. So Kenser Company having a very good crowdfunding run with this. But okay, so I don't want to take real big issue with the claim that Hackmaster created the OSR. But I can't imagine anyone but maybe the folks at Kenser & Co. saying that. Because for one, Hackmaster came out before the OSR, like a few years before the OSR. And it was also a gag. It was a satire. And it was in, I think there was a partnership with Wizards of the Coast to make it. So I don't know. I mean, you know, if they want to say they created the OSR, that's fine, because the reality is I don't think any one game could ever possibly make that claim. Even Swords and Wizardry, which I hear a lot of people talk about, well, yeah, that's a creation of the old school Renaissance. I don't even know if that's the case. But still, pretty interesting. Other thing I will mention, these are supposed to be like premium books. So these are like celebratory books, not maybe necessarily the books you're going to pull off the shelf and play, because they have the, you know, the gold foil and all the other stuff. So that's why it's priced the way it is. What I don't understand, the 4 PDFs being priced at $180. That's $45 a PDF. I don't know, feels a little pricey. I wouldn't mind checking out Hackmaster. I got to be very honest. Elliot and I were covering Origins. This is probably 2011, 2012. And Kenser & Company was there, and we tried to get an interview with them. And sadly enough, we must have been talking to somebody who was just a volunteer because it was like no interest whatsoever. It was like, and if memory serves, I think it's Jolly Blackburn who is the grand poobah of Kenser and Company. And my understanding is he's a good guy. And I'm pretty sure he would be like, oh, yeah, I'm all for doing an interview. So I thought it was super weird because it was the only company we talked to that year that the person was like, no, not really. Not really interested. It's like, okay. All righty. Let's see. We got a few more people popping on in. Dark Krieger is with us, as is Kevin King. Tessie Trekkie is hanging with the gang. So is Histio and our good friend of the show, Agile Monk. Very nice. Agile Monk says they've got all the original Hackmaster materials, all versions. Der Krieger says that you could say it was OSR before it was cool, but they definitely weren't initially making spin-off games. You know what? I don't know if I would consider the first edition of Hackmaster a retro clone. I would have thought it was more along the lines of an homage. Because like I said, it was supposed to be a satire, right? Because it comes from Knights of the Dinner Table, right? So Hackmaster is Gary Jackson's game, who's always like dipping into your wallets for anything and everything. Well, okay, I got to be honest. I haven't read Knights of the Dinner Table in a long time, but I always got a kick out of it. I always thought it was pretty funny. So Agile Monk is saying, nope, they did not create the OSR. Well, like I said, I'm not going to take too big an issue with it, but I'm kind of surprised that that claim is being made. All right, moving right along. The newest Pathfinder Adventure Path has arrived from Paizo Inc. I've got the lowdown on Bastion of Blasphemies. Florin Kindler lost her parents to one of Ustalov's most notorious hauntings. They perished, as so many have, after a visit from the Black Coach of the Bastard Hall, arguably the most notorious of all the haunted castles of the Inner Sea region. Bastard Hall's mysteries have brought Florin and her adventuring companions in search of answers to the centuries-long curse that blights the ruins. But the castle has other plans than simply giving up what it hides, as those who dare to enter its haunted halls are doomed to vanish forever. Will your player characters be able to break the curse of Bastard Hall and escape? Are they fitted to become the latest in a long line of vanishings into one of Galarian's most infamous ruins? The Bastion of Blasphemies Adventure Path is a complete Pathfinder campaign by Pathfinder co-creator James Jacobs, with adventures ranging from level 5 through 13, making it the perfect follow-up for players who have finished the Troubles in Gracie Adventure Anthology. The 262-page hardcover is out now, carries an MSRP of $79.99. You can score the PDF for $39.99. And I have not heard back from my contact at Paizo, trying to see what's going on as far as review copies, because we have the PDFs. So we already have the review of, I want to say it is Bastion of Blasphemies is up. So we've had the PDFs. We just haven't seen physical copies. While we're on the subject of Paizo Inc., it was announced today that all of Paizo's back catalog is now available over on Drive-Thru RPG. How about that? Very nice. Very cool. I'll be very honest. I've been kind of surprised that it wasn't on there in the first place. Because there are some things that have floated over from Paizo Inc. onto Drive-Thru RPG. And then they also have their Pathfinder Infinite, which is for their third-party community. So very nice. Very nice. Agile Monk enjoyed the Boy King review for Pendragon. Very cool. Good book. Very, very good book. Looking forward to the rest of it, although it sounds like there's going to be 6 volumes. So 3 volumes are going to cover Arthur's reign. And then I guess there are 3 volumes that are going to be the Uther Pendragon and, you know, the chaos, the chaotic period prior to Arthur drawing the sword from the stone. That is a lot of page count there for certain. So yes, Boy King, good stuff. I actually have my review of Paranoia, Brave New Missions. That went live this morning. Got a couple more reviews that are in the can. Going to pop up the next couple of days. So there you go. Tessie Trekkie says it reads better than the Vampire 6E Alpha. I won't be tackling that because it's from a company that I do not discuss. I don't share news for. Keith Lewis said they heard on a video the character sheet. Oh, from the character sheet. A judge ruled Paizo will get their books back. Yes. So, to my knowledge, there are actually 2 groups. Both of them have essentially stock that the diamond warehouses were still hanging on to. So Paizo falls into the category of companies are get their stuff, but they have to go and get it themselves. So they have to pay to have their products returned to them. And they actually have to hire people to go and move that stuff. So they're not exactly getting off scot-free. I mean, they've taken a huge hit financially. A lot of companies have because of the diamond fiasco, but can I tell you? Moving on to our next news piece. Games Omnivorous has teamed with Bundle of Holding for a money-saving deal on Frontier Scum. And I've got the deets on the deal. Outlaw! This all-new Frontier Scum bundle presents PDFs of, well, you guessed it, Frontier Scum, the rules-light acid western tabletop role-playing game from Games Omnivorous, about helter-skelter gunfights in gutter-mucked streets with death following 2d6 days later. You're no-good outlaws on a fictional lost frontier, discharged deputies, ghoulish undertakers, recurrent jailbirds, highfalutin inventor sorts, all drifting from one fly-speck town to the next, chasing a payday, a grudge, or just the next sundown. What keeps you from getting clear? The law, rival gangs, and your own bad impulses. You spend your ill-gotten coin on bad whiskey and worse ideas. Probably some bad women or men as well. Stay an inch ahead of the marshals and hope you can ditch this one-horse town afore the gentlefolk figure it were you. Carl Druid's Frontier Scum started as a scrappy Mirkburg hack, then grew into its own any-winning game. Won a silver best layout and design, 2023. I have reviewed Frontier Scum. Huge thumbs up on that. The stripped-down rule set is styled as an old almanac to immerse you in the setting. Out in these parts, guns hit almost automatically. Pull the trigger and go straight to a damage roll. So the only thing between you and a bullet is the hat rule. Instead of losing hit points, you say the shot knocked off your hat. After the gunfight, you roll to see if your hat survived. Burn an ace to re-roll a bad result. Get drunk and watch your stats swap places. fail a death check and go out in D10-minute blazes of glory, or rot from a D4 weak mortal wound. Frontier Scum dishes out one-shot bloodbaths and chaotic campaigns for fans of Deadwood, Tombstone, and long one-way rides into the sunset. This all-new Frontier Scum bundle presents almost the entire line for less than the price of a Duke of Death Deluxe Explosives Thrower from the Dalliance Dynamite Company. Grenades sold separately. For just $7.95, you'll get all 4 titles in the Frontier Collection. It has a retail value of $39 as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Frontier Scum core book, the Splatter Crawl Adventure with soundtrack, Tides of Rot, the Frozen Waste scenario, Corpse Trail to Hell, and the Gunsmith's pamphlet, Scum Slinger's Arsenal. These savings run through August 31st. Sweet deal. If you have not checked out Frontier Scum and you have any interest whatsoever in a rules light Wild West or Weird West role-playing game, you ought to check it out. You really should. The only quibble I have, and it's not really a major thing, but the fact that firing at each other in a gunfight, pretty like it says even in this sell sheet info, nearly automatic to hit. That was not the case. That was not the case in the West. In fact, the best gunfighters were not the ones who had the quickest draw. They were the ones who kept their cool and didn't just start firing off in all directions. So there is that. So like I said, I take a little exception to the practically automatic hits, but still, it's a great game. I could pretty much tell you would have an absolute blast playing Frontier Scum. And it's got an introductory adventure to it that's pretty good. All right, moving right along. Now available from Tuesday Night Games comes Mothership 1E, Wages of Sin. Here's the scoop. Wages of Sin is the ultimate bounty hunting resource for your science fiction horror role-playing campaign. A catalog of 100 bounties, each is a self-contained scenario running the gamut from simple criminals to rogue generals to transforming cannibalistic teens. Written by Luke Gearing, it includes 100 bounties, each with all the information you need to run them as a one-shot or work them into a larger campaign. A detailed prison colony with 100 prisoners, 50 guards, and a complete procedure for running a game there. Beyond the prison, a moon teeming with alien life. You'll find over 50 planets, systems, and stations to flesh out your mothership campaign, as well as 10 terrifying bounty hunters to compete with or hunt the players, a generator for making your own bounties, even adding more to each of the locations detailed in the book. The 334-page hardcover, I believe it is an A5-sized hardcover with PDF, carries an MSRP of $50. Strangely enough, if you're over at the Tuesday Night Games website, there is a selection for the PDF only. It is also, for some reason, $50. No. So I can't tell you. I can tell you that the hardcover with the PDF is $50. So we'll find out. We'll see. I would guess that we'll see this PDF at some point over on Drive-Thru RPG. Then we'll have an official price. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Harvey Chuckles is with us in chat. Let's see who else we got popping on in. Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police, Mike from Utah, and Flint Fireforge are all with us tonight. Tessie Trekkie says, Kenser & Co. are/were owned by an IP lawyer who knew that you can't copyright mechanics. Yes. And actually, most people now know that. They've known that for quite some time when people get it, especially board games. When people are like, wait a second, that uses deck building just like this game. And it's like, uh-huh. Because there's no copyright on game mechanics, folks. Now, you can't necessarily call things blink dogs and beholders and get away with it, but you could stat out creatures just like them, and you're fine. Danny Gable is also jumping on in. Danny says Wages of Sin is a great product. It does look really cool. I liked Mothership 1E, the box set, quite a lot. I thought it was really jam-packed with a lot of gaming goodness. The only thing I had mentioned, and it's not really the fault of the game and its design, I think it's more so that with game masters out there, when characters fail at their skill rolls, it doesn't mean they failed. It means it's possible that they succeeded, but at a cost. Because the skill rolls tend to be lower. People kind of freak out. They're like, wait a second, that my character does this. This is their job, and their skill is 45. It's like, yeah. Flint Forge is asking, any advice on where to start with Pendragon? Old or new versions? See, there's a starter set, but they're fine. I am assuming it's fine. With books to start from. My recommendation with Pendragon, pick up the fantastic starter set. That would be what I would recommend. You're going to be able to get it for far less than the, say, Pendragon core book. And the reality is, the core book and the GM book are needed. That's the reality. Now, Chaosium Inc. doesn't really say that. I will say that. So if you want to dip your toes into Pendragon, perfect opportunity. And there's a good amount of adventuring that's in that starter set, including the player characters, the player knights, I should say, being present when Arthur draws the sword from the stone, which can segue right on into the brand new The Boy King. So there is that. So that's what I would advise. I think the Pendragon starter set is $29.99. Only thing is you don't get rules for character creation, which is pretty much par for the course with starter sets. So you get, I believe, if I remember correctly, 6 pre-generated knights. I want to say 2 of them are female. There might be 7. And you've got some who are Christian, some who are pagan, and some, I think there's 1 or 2, which are Muslims. Kind of wild, kind of cool. All right. Dirk Krieger says the new Noble book is super handy as well if you want the knights to go further beyond their default level in society, but it can be grabbed later. Funny enough, I just talked to my contact over at Chaosium Inc. They're going to get the Noble book out to me. They're going to check to see what their levels of the Elf Quest box set are. And if there's enough of them, they're going to send one of those out as well. So very cool. All right, moving right along. KR1 Publishing has released an interesting looking fantasy supplement in PDF. I've got the skinny on the Sandbox Playstyle Toolkit, The City. Can your players walk into any city and find it alive, named, and full of hooks? Sandbox Playstyle Toolkit The City is a system-agnostic collection of role tables for building the home base and every settlement beyond it. Cities, taverns, guilds, shops, temples, and street encounters, all generated in minutes. Instead of prepping the city from scratch, this book turns a handful of dice into a mapped, named, and governed settlement through the 8-step A City in a Jiffy recipe. Then fills it in with people, rumors, and trouble. Whether you run Shadow Dark, OSR, 5e, D&D, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, or some other fantasy role-playing game, the tables slot straight into your campaign. Built as companions to the West Marches play kit and the Hexcrawl Complete play kit, and just as ready to stand alone. Inside, you'll find the 8-step city generator with a worked example city ready to run. Inns and taverns, names, proprietors, staff, patrons, menus, entertainment, and rumors. The Adventurers Guild, codes, leaders, headquarters with an example map, and 40 ready-to-run quests. There's vendors and merchants, shops of every size, and what the keeper hides behind the counter. Temples and shrines, faiths, rituals, temple features, and spiritual leaders. There are even 120 city encounters split by day, night, safe, and unsafe areas, plus off-screen developments that keep the city moving between sessions. Perfect for GMs who want the home base to matter, city streets to feel alive, and improvisation to come easy at the table. Now, this is the first book of the Sandbox Toolkit series. The Wilderness and the Dungeon are on the horizon. The 58-page PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $4.99. This is also tonight's giveaway. In fact, I'll be giving away 2 copies. Dun, dun, dun. And I will make sure that I get to the contest long before we hit the end of the show. Like last night. It's like, shit, I forgot to do the cut. I'm like, hey, everybody, that's it for this time out, and blah, blah. I'm like, shit, I didn't do the contest. Yeah. Mark Edwards is with us, said they're loving flipping through Wages of Sin right now. Very cool. Yes, so the backers have received their copies. Excellent. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of the numerous One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% commission on most sales. And all those commissions really do add up. Help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you enjoy the Gaming Gang, if you find this to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways that you can help support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Oh, that's wet. Ooh. And you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find all that information down in the show notes. Also, in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. Absolutely free to sign up. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. And of course, I always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members during our live streams. So tip of the cap to Ben Oldthwaite, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Talzek, Peaceful Porcupine, William King, the Tabletop Scholar, Sean O'Donnell, Herman Lutman, Gustavo Cavalho, Kevin King, Game Cat, RPG Munch, Tier 2 DM, Faradrift, Pete Strakolich, Dan Webb, Tessie Trekkie, Agile Monk, The Madman, and Flint Fireforge. And you will recognize a few of those people are hanging out with us right now in chat. Sweet. Yes. All right, so let's talk about last night's contest. Last night's contest winner, the Memorex winner, is Paul Bigby. They are going to win a copy of the Wrath and Glory starter set as well as the Lex Imperialis PDF. So both of those are in PDF. So Paul, be sure to email Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com from your Gmail account, which is associated with your YouTube account, and I will shoot you a link so you can get your prize. And tonight's contest is another trivia question. Once again, this is to win a copy of the Sandbox Playstyle Toolkit, The City. I'm going to give away 2 copies in PDF. So what I would like, this question is going to kind of be in theme with this evening in the game we're taking a look at least the vibe I get from it. During the 15th century, what did contemporaries call the Black Death? Because it was not called the Black Death until, I believe, the 20th century. Might have been 19th century. There are 2 terms that were used by contemporaries. Give me one of those terms, be correct. First one to get one of them right. So it's 2 winners, right? So once one is up there, then you got to move to the second one. So I will give away copies of the PDF of the Sandbox Toolkits, The City. So there you go. All right. So Dirk Krieger's already got it. I haven't even gone to the brief intermission yet. Yes, the Pestilence is 1. So that is 1. So good luck getting the other one. And of course, we are going to be taking a look at GÖRGA, the Curse of Deth from Hollow Press in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Time now for your barbecue break. Treat yourself right now to that good old Southern-style Just Right barbecue. Steeped in taste-tingling barbecue sauce, made just right from fresh, firm, choice ingredients. The recipe handed down for generations and cooked Southern-style to tender perfection. Slowly, hour after hour, capturing the taste-tempting barbecue flavor. It's just right tender goodness, generously spooned on a fresh, soft bun for you. It's hard to wait. It smells so good. And oh boy, it is lip-smacking good. Here it comes, your Southern-style Just Right barbecue on a bun with all the delicious trimmings. A snack to remember. Enjoy it now along with your choice of hot or cold drinks. It's a favorite of all the family. Prepared and served just right. The only thing better than this barbecue sandwich is the next one. Just try the best barbecue in the land that made barbecue famous. It's Southern style, Just Right barbecue.
This is Tiger Joe. Gigantic. With walkie-talkie operator, machine gunner. Tiger Joe. Rugged. Powerful. Ready for battle. You command Tiger Joe with remote control. Stop. back. You breech load Tiger Joe and fire. Battery powered, the biggest tank of all. Tiger Joe, sold at food markets only.
Any last request, like for a cup of Wilkins coffee? No. You don't drink Wilkins? No. How shocking.
Mask of the Red Death, personalized by the motion picture screen's Prince of Horror, Vincent Price.
Corruptum.
No, I beg of you! Mercy, mercy!
With the devil's own darling, Hazel Court.
Lord Satan, send me a demon, so I may know I'm to be your wife.
And a lost, virginal angel of innocence, Jane Asher.
I want to help save your soul so you can join me in the glories of hell.
No, never!
She's a woman cursed by Satan's seneschal, whose very existence turns the white rose blood red.
Diamonds, rubies, emeralds, pearls!
Lavishly, he plants his corrupting seeds of sin, spreading living terror that not even the unsullied can escape. Nor can one who craves all the forbidden pleasures of the depraved.
Each man creates his own heaven, his own hell.
Let me see your face.
Scary kids, scary. I have to chuckle because the European trailer for that film shows the actress who it's like, oh, Satan, blah. You know, they're branding her on her breast. So it's like cut off here for the American trailer. But there is like a whole ton of cleavage in the European. So, kind of interesting. You know, speaking of like Hammer horror films, I don't think Americans realize how much TNA were in those Hammer films, because most of us, we saw those, you know, like on Son of Svengoolie or Svengoolie, if we go that far back, or, you know, Elvira or whatever, right? Or we saw them on Saturday afternoons on UHF channels. We didn't see them uncut. And I was like, okay, well, seen a couple of them, and they're like, well, there's quite a bit of titillation going on here. I did not realize that. Kind of wild. You know, we're Americans. We're all oh no, nudity. Oh, geez. Oh. Goofy. We're repressed. All right. So back to the trivia question. Yes, the two correct answers were the pestilence and the great mortality. I would have even taken the Latin for the great mortality. Those were the two terms that contemporaries used. And if you are ever curious about the Black Death, there is, I want to say it's the Learning Channel, I think. Not Learning Channel. The what is it? The teaching. It's the teaching company. So, they've got these companies, they produce these various different courses, and it's like lectures. So it is, if I remember correctly, professor's name is Dorsey Armstrong. Very entertaining, 24 lectures, and boy, I'm telling you, you will learn a lot. And it's not real dry. It's very contemporary in its approach. She also is an expert on King Arthur and legends of Arthurian, legends, stuff like that. So really good. Flint Fireforge says the Great Courses series sounds like what you're thinking of. That might be it. Because there's like 2 or 3 companies that produce those sorts of things. It's probably about 15 years old now. In fact, there was a follow-up, like 2-hour lecture, which talked about things that they have learned since that series was recorded. So, like, where the original plague originates from has changed. So pretty cool. Pretty wild. Like I said, very educational, also very entertaining. On that note, tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at GÖRGA. I think that's how it's pronounced. The Curse of Deth from Hello Press. This 256-page softcover can be had for 24 euros. Yeah, you heard that correctly. 24 euros, which kind of comes out to what, $25 to $27, depending on what the exchange rate is. But there is a catch. It is shipped from Italy. And if you order it, I do believe you have to pay a customs fee. How's about that? Anyway, the fine folks over at Hollow Press were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. So, just want to point that out. I received this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. These days, it's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book. I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find inside. It says a very interesting art style. So if you can see, there's kind of they're like they look like they're spirits or something. You can really see them on the back here. And for some strange reason, I think they're supposed to glow in the dark. Oh no. So yes. So Captain Infinity says, wasn't it Genoan merchants catching it from bodies thrown by the Mongols during a siege? But that's not where it originates. So if I remember correctly, they thought it originated somewhere in Asia. I think currently the area is part of China. And then they have kind of changed it around. Now they think it actually, I think it's in like Eastern Europe that they think it originated from. Pretty wild, pretty interesting. Not something we want to see ever again. All right, so let's see what's on the back here. And this has a dust jacket. I thought that was pretty wild. Hubris has shattered death through an unrelenting curse. These blasted depths are an eternal purgatory where decay reigns and secrets fester in its crumbling bowels. Explore a world ravaged by an endless cycle of death and undeath. Skulk ancient horrors in exchange for power, and uncover the abominable mysteries that shaped this hellscape. So this is brand new. This just came out. I think this was May of this year. I think this is not necessarily a limited edition, but I think there's only like 800 copies of this in English right now because you can order it in English or Italian. A sound pierces the darkness. So it is 20 different items there. It says, have a player roll a d20 to start a game session. After seeing the result, let all players guess what the sound is. Like, I guess they got a 1 in 20 chance. Those guessing right get a hope token. Cheating players that scribble notes about these sounds might be struck with the blind man's curse. So we get the background here. I think GÖRGA is the land. We've got the caves. Undeath and death permeate everything. Through the ashen pit, where a terrifying oozing mass of personalities shivers in ecstasy. In the misplaced dungeon, where the great Magnus Khan shackles the mutated corpses of captured outsiders. So as you can see, this is a family-friendly game. Easily, obviously. The artwork tells you that right off the bat, right? Let's see. So those were the mutated corpses of captured outsiders. Within the Catacomba Silentis, sealed to entomb its corrupted guardian and forbidden knowledge. Across every cave, the curse of death rules over GÖRGA. It looks like this is giving us a lot of background about this setting. So we have a map of different areas. So we're also going to get info about those. So we've got the Temple of Gestation. The inverted hollow obelisk pierces the ground in front of a staggering multi-level temple without openings. As old as the days of death, the Temple of Gestation is incessantly tended and worshipped by the many servants of these 17 monks. Dressed in yellow robes and wearing flesh masks, they perform gruesome flesh crafting rituals and grafting operations within the temple. They do not care about the rest of GÖRGA, the outside world, or anything else other than acquiring meat and conducting their experiments. Flesh is their art and trade, and very few can claim to mold it as expertly as they do. Apprentices are never accepted, but the call for servants is always open. Yeah. So each location has a rumor table. So it's a 1d6. And then we have the blessings of gestation. And that's it. So I guess we get a rumor table and then some specific information about our locale. So here, like, we've got the labyrinth, and then we have information about exploring the labyrinth. I don't think we have a map, though. Nope. Oh, but this also gets into more detail about dreaming while in the labyrinth. So I guess maybe these different areas are, some are short, some are more filled out. So some discussion about time travel and the plague. Funny enough, I wanted to share the trailer for The Navigator. Not sure how many of you may have seen that. I want to say, I think it's from 88 or 89. And it's about these, I don't want to, I don't think they're necessarily all peasants, but it's all of these people who are trying to escape the plague. And this kid has this vision, and they start following this kid's instructions, and they're digging a tunnel, and the tunnel leads to the modern day. It's a very interesting movie. So, and of course, they think they've arrived in hell. So pretty wild. Unfortunately, it gave me a copyright flag, so I couldn't share it. I'm like, oh well. All right, so it looks like we've got a lot of just various different aspects of this setting. We got the Iron Caves. Once upon a time, a small village thrived in the small plaza facing a sprawling system of humid caves ripe with fungi and plump insects. The village was called Kador, and its people were content and peaceful. Then the first slaughter came, and the beasts from Tirg ravaged with untethered fury and bloodlust. No corpse was left behind. It was at that time that Andre the Bright rose from darkness and faced Ga and his horde. The village's survivors, shaken in fear, retreated into the caves and started anew. So obviously enough, this is a dark fantasy setting. So far, looking pretty dark. Looks like we've got some important NPCs. Trying to find, because my understanding is this is a core book, essentially. Trying to find where we're going to finally get into the mechanics of the game, but maybe this is a system agnostic setting. Yep. What is this? Magic. Okay. The arcane winds flow strongly through GÖRGA in the aftermath of a man-made disaster, a cataclysmic ritual long forgotten. Undeath sorcerers and occultists, in their immortal morbid curiosity, probe the depths of esoteric knowledge subverted by the curse of death. Neo-wizardry, animus charming, and flesh crafting are just some of the many and horrific applications of the arcane to what is this? To what existence has become in GÖRGA. Font's pretty small. I can read it okay, but I just kind of lost my place on that. So we're going to get into different spells. So the rune shield. You summon a glowing protective rune that floats a few centimeters from your open hand. The spell lasts as long as the player balances a d20 on their flat, open palm without resting it on the table or any other surface. Ah! Oh, man, come on. Can't I put my hand down? Come on, man. Nope. Not if you want that spell to continue. So we have smooth shading. It says the player must apply a skincare product to themselves to successfully cast the spell. Yeah, I'm starting to think this is a system agnostic setting book. I got to say, this is very intriguing. I don't know what you folks out there are thinking as I'm flipping on through this, but there seems to be a lot going on here. So we've got Animus Charming. Animus Charmers attuned to one and only one specific instrument, which becomes their faithful companion for eternity. It could be a archlute, a bassoon, cello, flute, oboe, organ, recorder, serpent, viola, and violin. Very rarely, two Animus Charmers will play together, and if they do, it is always in private. So we have overtures, suites, and ornamentos. And we have flesh crafting. It's an arcane practice of molding meat and regenerating body parts. When combined with grafting, it reduces the chances of implant rejection and loss of control for the new organs and limbs. In most cases, it also gives more seamless and aesthetically pleasing results. Through practice and experimentation, these powers have been refined and bent to serve many varied and terrifying purposes. Tessie Trekkie says they're looking at the quick start. So it says, looking at the quick start, go to page 199. Oh, maybe that's where we start getting into the rules of the game. That's right, there is a quick start to this. So we got friends and foes. The dwellers. We have a community generator. Got raiders. Let's skip some of these pages here. The life giver. So the life giver, they are merciless assassins, mass murderers, and apostates in cahoots with the lords of Chig. Their job is to awaken death corpses by dispensing death with their own hands, a practice as old as the curse itself. Nowadays, life givers are few, infamous, and wanted for beheading. Therefore, they are elusive and well compensated by their unscrupulous employers. I don't know if I would run something like this. This is just really dark. I mean, like I said, it's very intriguing. I don't know. And it's funny because I run horror role-playing games. I've run Call of Cthulhu for decades. I don't know. This does have a European vibe to it as well. So I have noticed over the years that European RPGs, for the most part, especially Italian role-playing games, tend to have sort of a anything goes kind of aspect to them. And I appreciate that. I really do. It's sort of like, well, you know what? This is the game we want to put out. And if you're offended by it, well, too bad. Okay. So the game system, here we go. Cthulhu says it's giving them a bit of a Geiger vibe. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. So here we go. While playing GÖRGA, one person takes the role of story narrator and rules mediator and is called the game master. Everybody else are players. So they have 5 attributes. They have a value between 0 and 3. Strength, dexterity, constitution, charisma, and arcana. We have keywords. Any word or short description can be a keyword as long as the game master and the rest of the table agree it's appropriate. They can be races, classes, skills, physical or mental abilities, jobs, powers, spells, or other defining characteristics. Keep in mind these points when choosing keywords for your character. Avoid overpowered keywords such as immortal god or never misses. Avoid vague keywords like general expert or wide knowledge. Avoid keywords that overlap with attributes. Incredible strength overlaps with the strength attribute. Then you have flaws, so negative personality or physical traits. Injuries, serious wounds gained during the adventure are recorded as injuries on the character sheet. They reduce the chance of success of a test, just like flaws do. Injuries can be healed with medicine or magic in an appropriate amount of time. And we got items. We have vitality, how much damage a character can take before losing consciousness or dying. This is the character sheet. So this is looking rules like to me. So we have tests. So we have test difficulty. Are we using percentile dice here? Tests can be easy, 70%, normal, 50%, difficult, 30%, or very difficult, 10%. Game Master evaluates the difficulty of the tests. Once a Game Master has stated the difficulty of a test, the player performing the action decides which attribute they use and up to 3 keywords they want to use in the test. Each point in the attribute and each keyword adds plus 5% to the chance of success of the test to a maximum of plus 30%. So yeah, so it does use percentile dice. When doubles are rolled, it is a critical. So if you're succeeding, it's a critical success. If you fail, it is a critical failure. I like that. It's kind of, let's see, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's got a thing like that, where if you roll doubles. Keep it simple, keep it fun. During the game, prioritize and encourage action, drama, and fun. The difficulty of a test can be used as a narrative tool to convey how dangerous or complicated certain situations are. The goal of this game system is to be as simple and fast as possible. Don't get distracted with modifiers and adjustments. Keep the action rolling. If you're unsure how difficult the test should be, ask the players. Try to have everyone agree, but the Game Master always has the last word. So we've got different types of rolls. So we just have regular dice rolls. We got test rolls, which are percentile dice. We have meta rolls. So these are when a character falls unconscious or for specific effects and tables. There's also stepping up and stepping down. So we are looking at a dice chain here. So a step up from a D4 to a D6, then to a D8. So we got combat. At the beginning of combat, determine if anyone is caught off guard. They don't get to act during the first round. Each player chooses which action they want their character to perform in the current round by covering a D6 with their hand and turning it to one of the numbers representing the 6 combat actions. Game Master does the same for each foe or group of enemies. Once everyone has chosen their actions, reveal the dice and resolve them in ascending order of action. 1, then 2, then 3. Same actions occur simultaneously in a round. To perform actions, characters still need to succeed at a test as usual. Game Master states the difficulty. Players choose which attribute and keywords to use. So the actions are retreat, full defense, attack, using a power or a spell, using an item or interaction, and then diplomacy and intimidation. So that's kind of interesting. Diplomacy and intimidation is last. So we also have talking about our critical rolls. Damage and armor. When an attack is successful, roll the damage dice of the weapon, power, or spell used. When taking damage, the target can either roll 1 armor die and reduce the total damage taken by that amount, or step down 1 armor dice to nullify all damage from 1 chosen dice. So it says leather armor is 1d4, chainmail 1d6, full plate is 1d8. A character can wear multiple armor items, but only one can be used at a time when reducing damage. Wearing heavy armor, items with 1d8 armor, should negatively impact tests that require agility and stealth. And then we have death. When a character drops to 0 vitality, the player rolls 1d12 onto their character sheet. The result of the roll indicates where the final blow struck. Injuries and mutilations, and they take an injury accordingly. If the dice lands at least partially on the attribute flower, the character is alive but unconscious. If the dice lands on the character sheet but not on the attribute flower, the character is unconscious and will die in 1d4 rounds if they do not receive first aid. If the dice lands outside the character sheets, the character dies. I knew that was coming. As soon as I saw it, it's like, so Dice on the character sheet. I'm like, oh, it's got to be. If it's off the sheet, they're dead. Yeah, take that. Without it having dice control. All right. Powers and spells. Improving, resting, and healing. So you got first aid, short rests, once per day. Take an hour to rest, attend to your wounds. For each healing keyword or item used, you roll 1d12. Keep the highest result, restore that amount of vitality. We got a long rest. Spending a full day resting, so that's a long rest. You gain your maximum vitality. Healing injuries takes time and proper care, but eventually characters will regain their full capabilities. Healing a mutilation is a hard task, usually requires magic or drafting. So we got traveling. Here's our grafting. Another magical skill there. We've got the animus. What's an animus control, I think? Creating memories. Roll 2d10 multiple times on the table on the right to form fragmented memories. These could be from the character's past or awakened by the use of black grime. Don't know what that is. Must be some sort of powerful agent, maybe, that you can utilize. Game masters should let players. Okay, so this isn't translated very well. Game masters should let players the freedom of narrating them as they please, but if a memory conflicts with the setting or the adventure, they should add, although the memory is quite blurry and perhaps that's not exactly what happened, surely the brain fog will clear in time. And undeath characters. So it looks as if you can just randomly generate undeath characters with their keywords, their flaws, items, outsider characters. And then we get an adventure. All right, so let's see what we got. This chapter presents a short adventure that can be used to introduce the world of GÖRGA. Players can make characters that are dwellers or outsiders, living or undeath. The group should decide how they all ended in the sewers of GÖRGA, below the city of Osatal and above Tiered. They can also roll a common goal to give them a reason to stick together. Clearly, not every possible scenario is covered in the flow presented with this adventure. Such is the nature of a tabletop role-playing game. As a game master, you should improvise, use players' banter as inspiration, and draw from your favorite random tables to fill the gaps. If the characters stray too far from the adventure, just go with the flow and reconnect to the presented structure only when and if it fits. So it looks like we get it's a flow chart, basically. 2 pages? Maybe it's 2 adventures. The gang learns about grafting. What is this? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Now we got the gang wanders the caves. See, now I've got the theme music from It's Always Sunny running through my head. Dun, 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 dun. All righty. Okay, so that is a peek inside GÖRGA, the Curse of Deth role-playing game from Hollow Press. I gotta say, looks pretty unique. I am intrigued. It's probably a little darker than I prefer running at my table, but hell, pretty interesting. So I should have a review of this not too far out, probably within the next month or so. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. So Agile Monk said, Jeff is impressed. I'm intrigued. I will say that. Yeah, I guess, in some ways I am impressed by it. I think the artwork is interesting. It is certainly unique. And I will say this does strike me as having a particular vibe. Don't know if that would be the vibe I want at my game table, but like I said, not every game has to be like for me. It's one thing that I do realize. I think some folks who enjoy this hobby need to understand that not every game has to be designed for them. So, once again, GÖRGA is from Hollow Press. The 256-page softcover, like you see here, can be had for 24 euros. It is coming out of Italy, so keep in mind you've got shipping. If you're having it sent to the US, probably looking at a customs fee as well. But just to let you know, I did not see a PDF as of yet. So we shall see. We'll see what happens. All right. So tomorrow, we're going to have an episode of Forgotten Favorites. We're going to dive in. And we're going to take a peek at 4 Flashing Blades releases that Scott over at Fantasy Games Unlimited sent along. So I remember seeing Flashing Blades. I know Flashing Blades was out in the 80s. Never had an opportunity to take a peek at it. So we're going to do that tomorrow. And we've got the core book. And we got 3 adventures or 3 supplements. Maybe they're not necessarily adventures. This looks like this is pirates here. Sweet. So that is what's on the agenda for tomorrow's show. All righty. So, Mark Hawkswell said that color scheme is pretty rad. You talking about this? Actually, I kind of like the color scheme on that. I think that's what Mark is talking about. I don't think he's talking about GÖRGA. So that's it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you're watching live and took part in chat, you get a tip of the cap. Because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company as I'm sharing the news and taking a look at game book, if I'm just pontificating about a topic. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos here on the channel. It is certainly appreciated. If you enjoy this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. If you're watching on a mobile device and you've got some extra hype points, feel free to sprinkle a few on. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, by all means, please do. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. And if you ring the bell, be sure to select all notifications, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as today's review of Paranoia, Brave New Missions from Mongoose Publishing. That's right, that appeared today. You got 2 more reviews already in the can, good to go. I'm going to try to shoot a few more tomorrow before I do the Dispatch. So we shall see. See what happens. Anyway, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are never going to see here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.